Hello and welcome to the Full Moon Effect. My name is Patrick.
And I'm Caz.
And this is the only podcast dedicated to a film-by-film analysis of full moon features and the work of Charles Band. The film we'll be talking about on this episode is 1990's Shadowzone, a movie that we just got done watching for the first time. Neither of us had seen it before. But before we jump into our discussion of that film, we are going to bring you guys up to date on all of the happenings with the world of full moon features. So we've got a couple of news items for you this time. Really, the big one regards Killjoy's Psycho Circus. Now, this is going to be the second brand new full moon feature released in 2016, and the news is that they have announced that it's going to be coming out in October. We don't know when in October, but that is apparently when we can expect to see Killjoy's Psycho Circus premiere on full moon streaming. So watch for it. This is going to be a really big deal. This movie has been a long time coming, so we're definitely excited about that one. In related news, I am going to link below to a vidcast that Charles Band did of a photo shoot, for very NSFW, if anyone clicks the link, for a movie called Virgin Hunters 2. Now, Virgin Hunters is an alternate title for a 1994 film that was originally released, I believe, direct-to-video, called Test Tube Teens from the year 2000. Very softcore sex comedy. And they have not really done any kind of announcement about Virgin Hunters 2 other than this video photo shoot. And I have no other information about this film, but apparently it also is going to be available on full moon streaming and DVD on October 7th. So we may have two brand new full moon features to look forward to. But there's a bit of a question mark on exactly what Virgin Hunters 2 is. It sounds like it's a brand new movie.
It sounds good enough for a title just to at least watch it.
Yeah, for sure. But in any case, check out the link below to the vidcast of the photo shoot. It's pretty, there's a couple of girls in it. They don't have a lot of clothes. It's pretty good time. Moving on to our third and final item. We do not have a lot of news this week, but we did want to mention that Full Moon Direct has relaunched and revamped their website. Now, we talk a lot about full moon streaming on this show. That's where we watch most of the movies that we discuss and review. But there is also Full Moon Direct. This is where they sell all the merchandise. So all of the toys and collectibles that we talk about, this is where you buy them at Full Moon Direct. So they have recently relaunched and revamped that website. Some of the new features include free shipping for all orders placed within the United States, an option called Future Pay, which allows you to order something now and pay at a later date. And they're also going to be offering a free DVD with every purchase made at Full Moon Direct. And it's going to be a different DVD every month, which is kind of a fun promotion. This first month, if you order something from Full Moon Direct, you get Demonic Toys on DVD. Yeah, classic Full Moon feature. And that about does it for the news. We are going to say a little bit more about Killjoy at the end of the show. But until then, let's jump right into Caz's patented synopsis, and we'll break down Shadowzone for you. Caz, what was going on in this movie?
Well, I mean, it's fairly straightforward. Basically, like a former army guy, like some military guy, it seemed to be.
Yeah, so this vaguely militaristic.
They didn't really give too many specific details about a lot of the characters in the movie.
Yeah,
honestly,
or a lot of the plot points.
Yeah, it was kind of just, it went at a brisk kind of pace where they just kind of, people just said something and you were just, if you didn't hear it, you're lost kind of thing.
Yeah. And a lot of times you didn't hear it because the audio quality was not.
The audio quality was, it varied. Like sometimes it would be just on the borderline of all right, where you could make out, at least volume-wise, what was going on. But then it would, most of the time, just be like this muffled, very low, it sounded like it was off in the distance kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, terrible audio quality, and like it, even the video quality seemed to fluctuate too. Sometimes it was really fuzzy, sometimes it wasn't. It just kind of depended.
Yeah.
Anyways, so former military guy, I'll call him Mopey Face, because he just always has a stern or kind of like emotionless stare on his face entire movie.
I think Mopey is being generous. That would imply that he was able to emote some kind of emotion through his features.
Bored face.
Yeah,
bored face. There we go. Where he's just like.
Yeah, there you go. That's
the entire movie.
Pretty much his emotional reaction to everything happening in the movie.
I don't recall a whole lot of the names in this movie outside of like Shivers.
I'll try to help you out when I can.
Although I'm just going to call the one scientist chick Kathy Bates because she looked kind of similar to Kathy Bates.
All right.
Anyways, bored face. He just kind of like, he's a former military guy from what we can gauge about him. And he's sent here, I can't remember by who in particular. I guess they wanted whoever hired him to go to this government facility in this like underground cave where they're like doing research on something. They want to check in on how it's going because there was apparently like an accident that happened there with one of the test subjects they were using where they died.
Yep. So this guy is investigating a death that happened.
He meets the mechanic guy who is that Shivers, I think.
Yeah. Yes.
Which is appropriate because he gets the jitters easily. He's a very easily scared individual. Talks like kind of a southern hillbilly with like the usual badly termed like quips and I don't even know how to describe it. What was the one comment he made where it's like a fly in the dark of a hole or some weird shit like that.
He said something was tighter than the asshole of a bull before a fight or something like that. So
something like that,
very bizarre, colorful language from this character,
Although he only talked about that when he needed to like throw something out there when he was scared about a certain situation. Otherwise, he talked fairly normal, just very scared all the time. Yeah. Anyways, he's kind of giving them the rundown of the place, and they go through an elevator that's apparently the only way up and out of the cave. So that comes into play obviously later. They make it down to the cave, and he meets a few of the people. There's like a scientist. There's two major scientists, like they're like the heads of the operation. Where you have like the Asian guy,
who I believe was in charge of the experiment.
Yes, and like the white chick that looks like Kathy Bates.
Yep, she was his assistant.
And then they had another younger assistant who was what was her last name?
I don't know that I wrote her down, to be honest. So I'm not sure what that character is.
They used her last name mostly more than her first name.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with the radio chatter.
I don't remember it now.
Anyways, like she was like a young blonde-haired scientist, and she kind of was in charge of the animals that they used in like tests. Yes. I'm assuming and stuff like that.
Yep.
She had a particular thing for this monkey that was called Bingo.
Yes.
Who she always let out of the cage. For some reason. In a highly test heavy I'd assume has to be sanitized area. She just has a monkey running around.
A very clean monkey, I assume.
Yeah. But anyways, there's the chef too. You got Shivers, who's more the mechanic, I'm guessing, or the driver.
He seemed to be. Yeah, that was my impression.
He also owns a shotgun, so because he's a southern dude, he needs to have a shotgun.
Gotta have a shotgun.
And then there's
especially if you're in an enclosed space with a lot of other people.
Then there's the tubby chef.
Yep, it was Cutter was her name.
Cutter, yes.
Yeah.
And
she was a character.
She has a thing for just killing all the rats that keep invading her kitchen. So
she was a character. She was very
She was a fun, over-the-top character. Yeah. And then you had, who was it? The guy that I thought looked like Cat from Red Dwarf.
Okay.
Similar to him. The African-American guy who was kind of like the computer the computer tech guy who was just, always operating the systems during the experiments and stuff like that.
Yep.
So, you meet the whole gang. He goes and sees the body of the test subject that apparently, died from just normal kind of just, respiratory failure.
Yeah, I think they said it was, some kind of an embolism or something
in his brain, something.
That was their story.
Yeah. Obviously, something's up. They have, the body completely torn open in glorious, gory fashion.
Right.
His head's, sliced open.
Yes.
And then they go in there. They're, looking it over. And, he's military man. Boredface has his immediate suspicions because the way the scientists are acting totally doesn't ring suspicion.
Sure, that's super suspicious. Yeah. And whenever he asks to see something, they would say, well, that's not important. You don't need to see that.
Right. Come on, just take our word for it.
So clearly something's up.
And then Dumb Broad's monkey gets into the lab or the autopsy room. It is on the freaking slab where the dead body is, and it taps something on the body, spurts blood up on one of the sides, get that thing getting out of here.
Yeah, that was it was funny, but it was very disturbing, I thought. Like, the idea of this animal playing around with human remains was sort of an odd, occasion for comedic relief, but okay.
Yeah. Most of the good comedic relief came from Cutter, though.
Yeah.
She was, her banter with Shivers, as little of it as we got. Yeah. It was funny always. Those two are like characters together.
For sure, yeah.
Anyways, they show him how the experiment they're working on is run. Now, what they were doing, it was essentially for space travel or some kind of space thing was like the initial reason why they're doing these tests, to like where they basically, through a means other than like actually disconnecting the cerebral like stem from like the brain.
Yeah.
They were doing it some other way through like a device or something.
Yeah.
To where they could like basically keep the mind in like a form of stasis, like a dreamlike stasis. And they were doing it for like, I guess, the government to like invest in like the idea of like long-term space travel, something like that.
It's a little vague, but some sort of long-term prolonged sleep suspended animation experiment.
Right.
Put these people.
So they have a guy and a woman both in like these like test tubes. And I'll get to the woman eventually.
I know you.
Right now we got to get through the.
I know you.
We got to get through the main.
Yeah.
The main plot first.
Okay.
So anyways, I'll bring it up near the end when it becomes relevant. Right. Anyways, he wants to see how the test is done, so they start running it primarily, I think, through the guy, the male test subject.
They do.
And what basically happens is they kind of like fluctuate his brain waves, I think, when he's like sleeping, where like they give it more room to like, I guess, like resonate at a certain frequency, and it makes the brain activity go like off the charts or whatever when they're in their dream-like stasis.
Sounds right. You understand it more. That's the techno-babble I didn't really completely follow.
That's essentially what I figured what they were doing.
Essentially they pushed this. So there have been 3 people in the tube. One of the guys is the one that died, who he's coming to investigate, and then they start to push this other test subject.
Well, they were in extreme deep sleep too, so it was
so whatever they did to the one guy, they do to this other guy, and they insist that was not the cause of this other guy's death, but
now it starts escalating a bit. They're on the computer, and like the guy in the tube, there's like veins and like weird pockets growing up on his head that like throb. You said it looked like scanners, kind of like
scanners.
Anyways,
it ends like scanners.
The computer tech guy is like on this computer, and it seemed like they always communicated with. I guess now they were communicating with that other being or something, or was he actually just asking prompts of the computer, like typing in prompts in the computer to figure out information in the way of like asking questions? It gave like weird like hidden meaning answers to it.
It seemed that though at first they were talking to the computer, but then at some point either they began talking to or it became apparent that they had been talking to this otherworldly being.
I was kind of fuzzy on that because the first thing he was asking like, oh, how is the egg or something, blah blah blah, and it's like it's a Benedict or some weird thing, which is like to him I guess a message that like, oh, he's doing fine, or like that was later with the woman anyways. So it seemed like the computer, he would just like type in questions and it would give a response that would like somehow answer his question. It was really odd. I didn't really get what was going on with that. Although
I think it was an attempt to maybe make, because if you're really like programming a computer and you really saw what a real computer programmer was looking at, it wouldn't really make any sense to like a general audience. So if you put it in just like question and answer format, you know what I mean? It potentially makes a little bit more sense to the audience, although it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But
anyways, they see something on the computer screen, like there's like in the corner of the room, there's this like little figure of a life form. They send the guy's head explodes.
Right. Yes. Let's not.
So they send like the military dude, Asian scientist guy, and was it one other person? I think
it might have just been those two in that initial part.
Into the room to fetch the body and just to investigate like the girl's body who was still alive because she used the experiment.
I think they wanted to get her out
because they saw this other life form there, and like he asked a question like, who is there or something like that. It's like John Doe, and they're all reacting to that name like they know who that is, so they've experienced this obviously before. Whatever this entity that just appeared in the room was. They go to fetch it, and the military guy's like, who's John Doe?
Right.
And then they're in the room, they're hauling the woman out into like this little like chamber that's kind of like connected between the main room and like that room to kind of just leave her there.
Yeah.
And the Asian scientist, he wants to go investigate further over by like the side of the room where the entity's appearing on the computer screen.
Yeah.
He's over there, he doesn't see anything. He's like moving around, and then he turns back around. There's like this weird, like mutated, bulbousy faced creature that just attacks him and kills him. Apparently, this effect was actually pretty cool because I'm not sure if you caught this necessarily. The scientist guy, was he wearing glasses at all, or like they had like the little goggles
on the
or like the little flashlights on the suits that looked like glasses.
Yes.
Now, when they go back into the room and the thing starts banging, assumably him against the glass, you can actually see the indentation of like the glasses shaped like lights on there.
I didn't notice that.
So it was a cool effect. You actually see the indentation of like the suit the guy is in getting slammed against like the steel like blast door plates that go down because of like the emergency that gets like thrown up. This emergency sequence though locks everything down.
Yeah.
Including the one elevator that gets you in and out of the place, of course.
So they're trapped.
They're trapped, okay. Asian dude's dead. And this is where like it goes all Scooby-Doo where they have to split up, gang.
Yeah, because you want to split up. You want to split up in this situation for sure.
They kind of military guy gets informed real quick that they were. I can't remember. He gets fully explained it later, but he essentially gets like told that this creature was something that was being like brought into reality through the experiment they were doing. Later, it's like explained that while they were doing their normal experiments through discovering this, they grew intrigued on how basically like in this deep sleep phenomena, they could find ways to open portals to other realms through like the dream space of like the person sleeping could actually open portals with their mind and manifest the things into the real world.
And that's where this thing has come from.
It's entering that space. As they're like kind of discussing things in another room about what to do, computer tech guy, he lets them know that the creature's not showing up on my scanners in this room anymore. There's a little like hole in like a pipe or something over there that it escaped through. That's when they discover that, because through some readings on the computer he found out that it changed its molecular structure and its mass and size. It can actually change the stuff to like slip through in like cracks or whatever, so it's gone.
And it can change form. Apparently this creature can look like anything.
Later you find out that like it throughout the movie it kind of feels like the Thing, where it's like turning into like creatures that it's seen, but unlike the Thing where it had to devour the creature and like copy its molecular buildup, this Thing was just basically taking like a vision of something that someone nearby was thinking in their mind and turning into that. Whatever.
So it could turn into your nightmares.
And one of them later brings up, I think it's the scientist, that like the male subject whose head exploded, he always talked about like a nightmare he had of like of a carny freak person that had like a mutated freak, which is what it manifested out as when it attacked the scientist earlier. So anyways, they split up all Scooby-Doo style. You got Cutter and Shivers in the kitchen gathering food, I guess, because they're going to try and hole up somewhere. And always bitching about, when you gotta get rid of the rats. Earlier in the movie, she kind of like, when she's feeding them, she's got like hair like curlers in her like on her head while she's cooking. Because that's totally sanitary. She serves him a dead rat. Because it's like, you're not fixing the problem. Here's your punishment.
Huge bloody dead rat. And that was her debut scene, so that really kind of set the tone for that character.
Yeah, here's a dead rat. Anyways, they're in the kitchen, and blonde young scientist chick is like, oh, I can't find Bingo. She goes into the lab and finds out Bingo escaped his cage, the monkey. So then she goes off trying to find him. Then Shivers, I guess, goes out to search for him too. So we got Cutter left alone in the kitchen by herself.
I'm always impressed by how well you remember the plot lines of these movies. I know we just watched it, but
and then you have military board face and computer tech black guy go to.
This is great.
I just never remember the names because they don't do a good job of like. I know. They always like say their name like once or twice, and then you just completely forget.
Your names are better, so
Anyways, they go to fix the circuits, like the electric box, I guess, that powers like the station, so they can get the elevator working, the blast doors up again. So that's what they're doing, and then you have the main scientist chick, Kathy Bates. She's still in that like control room that's near like the test area, the test room. And she's just kind of like looking at like readouts and stuff like that for a while. And she kind of she's like irrelevant for a while in the movie. She just doesn't really do much outside of just like interacting with people on the radio system. Like they have like intercoms set up like all over the station where you can communicate through like a voice box.
Yep.
So that's how they're communicating while they're split up kind of like throughout like this next portion of the movie. As they're all out doing their little things, the first person to die is Cutter, actually. She's checking one of her little mouse traps out, which is like in this little crawl space that she just reaches in, pulls out like a little rat that's caught dead, and she like opens it, throws it on the ground, like, and then she's gonna go place it in there again, and she gets grabbed by something, starts pulling her in there, and then the blood starts shooting out of the hole, and then like a giant rat busts through the wall.
Right, we just see the head of it briefly. It's a very odd scene, but yeah.
So she gets killed by a giant rat.
Which I guess because she hated rats. So
and
like
she was probably thinking of that when it appeared, so it took that form.
Yeah. It's funny.
Next, what happens is, like, we have everyone, like, working to find the monkey for God knows what reason. I don't like
because she loved the monkey.
I don't know why Cutter was... Shivers was looking for it. Shivers, like, he gets into, like, this state where he's not really getting anywhere, and he gets kind of, like, freaked out a bit.
Yeah, he starts freaking out.
He goes over to like he eventually makes his way back to the kitchen again, right as like blonde scientist, she finds the monkey, or she assumes she finds the monkey, and it like crawls up on her arm and everything, and it doesn't like. We find out that this is the alien or the beast or whatever, but it doesn't kill her right away for some reason. It kind of waits until like the stars align and like she's in another room saying like, "I found the monkey, guys," and then Shivers is like, "No, that's impossible. I see Bingo right here in the kitchen."
Twist.
And then it goes back to the girl, and then like she turns, and the thing's like this thing, the thing with its face opened and
it's like a
weird tendrils flying
kind of
out.
Mutant monkey thing, so it kills her.
And then she screams with the intercom, and we don't really see her actually dying. For a while, we were assuming because it didn't actually show her death, that she might have been alive, but they never really.
No, I totally thought it was a fake.
And later too, they kind of almost tried to like prod that like idea again by playing the like thing over again to prove to the one guy that she had died, the military guy. But yeah, she's dead. I mean, she's just dead.
She never came back into it, so it's kind of weird.
So everyone who was on the intercom at that point, outside of like the two that were working on the electric box, heard her screaming as she was killed. Shivers goes out with his shotgun, kind of like trying to like escape or hunt it down or meet up with someone else. I can't remember exactly the specifics, but he's out and about. They just in the one room, computer tech guy like busts his hand a little bit working on the box. He gets like shocked, so then he starts walking military dude through how to fix the circuit box. And there's like this weird scene where he just like disappears for a moment, and you think, oh god, the monster's gonna get him or something. And then he just shows up again. And he's like, oh wait, I was taking a piss.
Right.
I'm like, this is like a big enough. You could have just gone to like the corner and pissed. Where did you go?
Right.
I mean, it sounded like he was in the middle of helping him work for like the electric box, and he just ditched him without even telling him what was going on.
And why, when you come back, do you walk right up to me and say, "Hey, here I am"? It's like, okay, it's pretty.
He's like, all right, what's the next step?
Right.
What's the next step? Like he was in the middle of doing it, and then he's just like, I'm sorry, I had to take a piss. I didn't tell you.
Pretty cheap jump scare there.
But then that's when they hear like gunshots going off because Shivers gets into a emotionally distraught state.
Shivers loses his shit.
And he starts shooting the walls around him in the hallway, turning left, right, every direction. And there must be like 20 shots in this shotgun because he's just going to town to like everything around him.
Screaming.
After a while, I would be like, I don't think there's anything there. You can stop shooting your gun.
Right.
And you were mentioning too, like, what if he's just like stopping, reloading the gun all calm like, and then he just starts up.
That would have been, I like to think that's what was happening between cuts. Like he would just calmly reload the gun and then, go back to his crazy freak out.
And eventually they're, military guy and computer tech. I'll call him military.
I can tell you his name.
Boardface and Boardface and Techie. We'll do that.
Keep going.
Boardface and Techie chase down, find like the scene of the crime where he finally does get attacked.
Yep.
It just looks like he exploded, I guess.
Yeah.
There's like a hole in the ceiling. There's just like little slabs
Pieces.
like meat
there's
sliding down the wall and
fragments and pieces are
The
all
thing
that's
is,
left
before
of
he
Shivers.
left and freaked out, he found the dead body of Cutter in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And she
Which
just,
I guess that's
and
what
she
made
just
it
had her
like-
arm bitten off,
Yeah.
really, and that was it. So
Yeah.
the beast didn't really devour her or anything.
No.
But with Shivers, he just kind of is completely blown
Yeah,
up.
so we're not sure exactly how he was killed, but he's definitely dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then they did get the electric box working for a brief moment, but
Yep.
then it malfunctioned again.
Yep.
So the circuits, there's something wrong with the wires.
Yep.
So they have to find a different way out. They find, Shivers is dead. So they're trying to escape because, like, the monster's still, like, right there, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So they hightail it to an elevator. It's not working, of course. So, of course, there's a convenient circuit box nearby where
Yep.
Techie has to, like, cross the wires. And, he's sitting, military guy's just sitting there, like,
Yep.
tapping
and the monster's coming.
Which we don't really get any, like, tension build of how far away the monster
Yeah,
is.
I said they probably could have cut back to the monster a little bit, so we would have had some sense of it getting closer and closer. But
Because it could have just showed up at any moment.
yeah,
Who
but
would
that
know?
was the idea that this thing was right on there.
So this
tail.
part kind of pissed me off.
Okay.
But the elevator part
yeah,
where
you don't like that.
it looked like just a normal elevator. I don't know how much it varies between elevator to elevator, but even in a military base, I would think there'd be like a fail safe where if you got in front of the door, it wouldn't like slam shut on you. The guy's like, I don't know how powerful the hydraulics are on this fucking door, but like he opens the elevator and it immediately starts closing as Tekke's trying to run to it, and he's just holding it with his hands. I'm like, dude, get in front of the stupid door so you can just like hold it with your whole body or your legs or something.
That really bothered you.
Well, because it's like you just let the guy to die. Like you're not even trying your best to like keep the door open.
Yeah.
And then like it closes on him. He can't open it up. So he's just sitting there pounding on the window.
So
gets
black guy dies.
pulled away, and then blood spatters on the window. So
the black guy dies.
He dead.
Yep. So the cast is rapidly dwindling.
So everyone's dead except for him, scientist chick Kathy Bates. Scientist chick Kathy Bates.
Yep.
And of course the chick in the test tube.
Right. The other test subject.
Yes.
Who has just been laying in her test tube thus far.
Yes. So now they meet up in the control room. And that's when you get Kathy Bates going into her like little I'm the obsessed scientist that needs to see this through to the end kind of thing. We should take every opportunity to this is fascinating. It's like it just killed like 5 people.
There's one in every movie. They're obsessed with like studying the monster.
Yeah.
They don't want to kill the monster. Just kill the monster.
They communicate with the monster on the computer. And they strike a deal with it because they figure out it's dying.
Yeah, it can't exist forever in this dimension. Yeah.
So it's trying to find a way back in through like the portal that's open through these like deep sleep phenomena. So the monster, which is highly intelligent apparently, wants to work together to open the portal so it can escape back to its world. So they're going to use the woman in the test tube to open up the portal and get rid of the damn thing.
It's kind of a neat idea.
Yeah. So that's what they do.
Came in through the other test subjects. Go back.
So that's what they do. It looks dire at one point for the woman, like she might like not survive, but then she's starting to control the portal on her own accord and is doing a good job at it. Whatever, blah blah blah. Portal opens. The stinking booger monster.
Yeah.
You see like it's like skeletal like slimy hand like hovering over like it's gazing at the sexy hot chick in the
like a creeper
test tube.
Yeah.
For some reason, but then it eventually walks into the portal.
Yeah.
He's following Kathy Bates in the room. Who's like, I need to see this up close.
Right.
She sees like the portal, and she just takes up a metal pipe and like pokes it, and then like tosses it into there.
Well, that's a tried and true part of the scientific method. When you encounter an unusual phenomenon, you want to poke at it with a stick.
Then she actually enters the portal. Then comes back out of it, and she's got like static electricity and just currents running through her fingers. She's like, there's thousands of them in there, like which I'm assuming means like the creatures.
Yeah.
But then the creature like stabs her with the metal pipe that she just stuck in there.
It comes back out of the portal.
Yeah. You see the monster. It looks like a weird, deformed, like skeleton.
Yeah.
With a mouth that has like it opens its mouth and makes like a weird screeching sound.
Kind of creepy.
Yeah, it was creepy looking. It had like these weird fangs that looked like little dangly noodles almost. It was
I would describe it as a weird mucus alien skeleton
thing, and its eyes looked like it had bloodshot corners with like just these flat pupils. It was weird looking.
It was kind of cool looking.
Yeah, and it goes away in the portal. It fucks off.
Yep.
The portal closes.
Yep.
And the woman wakes up. military guy has been given the eyes to like the entire movie because who wouldn't? She's the hottest chick on earth.
So, did we mention that the people in these tubes are completely nude?
They are completely nude, and you get
completely nude.
Both are fine physical specimens.
Yes, but you were particular. I think I watched a man fall in love tonight. And I have to apologize to you and our audience that I did not look up the name of the beautiful young actress who played the girl in the tube.
It was crazy.
All she basically did was lay in the tube this whole movie. But
the guy was a good looker too.
Yes.
But the thing is, the woman though, it was really odd because she had like one of those bodies where it just seemed like unnaturally odd how like perfect like every part of her limbs was like curving into each other. Like she just had like this I would just describe it as like that stereotypical hourglass shape where you feel like, it's got like these perfect like contours to everything. It just, whenever she was just stationary, like completely like,
which how she was
for most of the movie, where she was just propped in that right manner where it really accentuated all that. Her body just seemed unnaturally like perfect for some reason. Yeah. And like, I mean, like breasts and all, like they were like she was laying down flat, but I guess you mentioned that she might have been propped up a bit. It just seemed like her breasts were like way too perky for like the position she was in. Yeah. Especially even when they were moving her around, it wasn't like
they made sure she was perfectly posed in there.
They must have been strategically doing that because they just wanted to make sure it looks perfect every time you see her or something.
Yeah, absolutely, and it did.
I still have the seeking suspicion that it might have been a dummy some of those times. I don't know why, but
I don't know why they would have used the dummy though.
I don't know. But anyways,
she wakes up.
She wakes up and she's like really hot, and then you can tell she must have been like a model or something because her acting was terrible.
Yes.
Not that the acting in the movie wasn't bad.
She had like,
anyway.
Yeah, she had like 2 lines at the end.
Where
of the
is everyone?
Right.
Dr. Chang. Like she's just like looking around.
But we can't all have everything. So she's a gorgeous girl. She doesn't have to be a good actress.
Well, yeah, the military guy was giving her creepy eyes like the entire movie.
He was creeping up on her,
and then he just kind of sits there at the end like staring at her. And then they're just zooming out in the room where like the portal just closed and then just credits roll. They don't get any other closure other than that.
I kind of like that though. It's like the story's over, just end the movie. I kind of like that. We didn't really need any more. I don't know
how they're gonna get out of there though. Because if the power died again, how do they get
I assume at some point it must open again, right? I don't know.
They don't establish that. So who the heck knows?
Well, I guess maybe they'll make Shadowzone 2. And we can
and they'll make it in the spirit of the first one by making sure the audio is as muffled as possible.
Okay. So
have the same visual flair.
So technical issues aside, it could have been a sharper picture and better audio. And given that we know you loved this girl in test tube,
they were both hot. Who cares?
Yeah, but you guys, it was so funny watching this movie with Caz. Like every time this girl was on screen, it's like she's so. It's like ridiculous how perfect she is. She's like obsessed with this woman.
And I don't usually get like that
while
watching a movie too.
It
was really odd to me. There was just something that felt so unnaturally off about how she looked. I'm
going to track her down. We're going to go meet her at a convention, and you can confess your love to her.
And the thing is though, like when the scene at the end where she's like actually moving around though, she didn't seem nearly like she was still ridiculously odd. But she wasn't giving me perfect. She wasn't giving me that same reaction as when she was like stationary in that table.
Yeah,
you could just see like the stillness of her body. And you actually clearly see everything about her.
Yeah,
something like that's why I think I was getting the whole dummy vibe because something just looked off in comparison between the two.
I think they just took very careful care with like the lighting and the position.
It must have been because even like the skin looked kind of more glistening like when she was in the test tube.
I think it was how it was lit and shot. Like they just wanted her to look like this perfect kind of like a Sleeping Beauty. You know what I mean? Which I thought was kind of a neat. And ultimately, she kind of saved the day in a way. She was unconscious when she did it, but So those elements aside, what did you like this one? What do you think of this one?
I mean, yeah, I enjoyed it.
Pretty good.
I'm not sure if I would watch it again just outside of like I want to show some friends it or something like that. Despite how like hot the woman was.
Yeah, there was that. That was a good
and how cool the creature design was.
Yeah, there was that. Those are probably the two most impressive elements.
it's a movie that doesn't overstay its welcome. I'll say that.
Yeah, it's got that nice 90-minute runtime.
And for what it is, it just seemed somewhat forgettable in a lot of regards.
Yeah.
But
I totally agree.
It was.
I mean, this. So this clearly. I mean, the poster says "Beyond Alien, Beyond the Thing," which really just
pulls elements from both of those movies.
I mean, it's very much that genre and riffing on those movies, especially John Carpenter's The Thing. I mean, it's like group of people, enclosed space, creature that can change form. You don't know where it is a lot of the movie. Sense of paranoia. I mean, it is one of those movies, and it should go without saying not nearly as good as either of those movies. So, but I will say that I do think the kind of their spin on it, like plot-wise, in terms of the idea. The plot
was a creative take on it.
In terms of like the idea of like this dream dimension and this monster coming through and then wanting to use the girl to go back. Like
and the way it changed. I like how they didn't keep it as like, oh, it's like just changing into whatever it's coming up by. I like the way they made it like it's clearly taking the image of like the person it's near, what they're imagining or looking for at that moment, and it takes that form.
So it's a nightmare creature, you know, in multiple senses.
Well, not even that it's a nightmare creature, because like it materializes the monkey because she was looking for the monkey.
True. That's true.
It takes whatever someone is imagining as like a physical thing, like, you know, it can turn into that.
Yeah. But it seemed like that's kind of tied into the idea of dreams, and like that is where it came from, this kind of world of dreams in a way, or a world that you conquer through dreams. So it was a ripoff, but it was a smartly written ripoff, you know. So I did appreciate that. It's
like it's one of those scripts where you feel like if it had a bigger budget with a different studio, it probably would have been like an amazing film.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, this is still early days in kind of what would become the golden era of Full Moon, and it's not really like a lot of other Full Moon movies in that there wasn't as much humor. I mean, there was some comedic relief with like
Cutter and Shivers, but they didn't really get a whole lot of focus though.
No, and it just didn't really feel like a Full Moon movie, and Full Moon also did not really do this kind of thing very often. You know, sometimes I call these kind of movies like mockbusters, where it's like the direct-to-video ripoff of the more successful theatrical film.
Right.
They didn't really do that a lot. They kind of did their own weird thing and came up with their own ideas. So this is kind of like them attempting to kind of ape a popular film, and they didn't really do a lot of that, and I'm kind of glad, because I kind of prefer them kind of going their
own weird direction.
So Shadowzone is honestly perfectly watchable. I thought it was mildly entertaining.
The only really major downfall of it, as far as like the level of movie it is just the technical side of things.
Yeah, and maybe some of the acting, and just the fact that it was so derivative of these other films.
Right.
But you know,
the actors for the most part like did enough that it wasn't like overly distracting, because you know the kind of movie you're getting into watching it.
Yeah.
But there are some scenes where they just seem way too monotone.
Yeah.
The only actor that was really bad throughout the entire film though was the lead actor.
The lead actor, okay.
He didn't really emote much at all.
No, not at all. It was like he looked like a
some of the other actors at least tried or had moments where they didn't seem like they seemed at least a bit genuine. Yeah. He was just bad the whole movie.
Well, let's talk about our actors. And we'll break down our cast and crew for you. The movie was directed by J.J. Cardone, I believe is how his name is pronounced. He is a director, writer, producer who looks like he's done mostly what I would call minor horror films, like The Slayer and The Forsaken might be one of his best known movies. He also wrote Crash and Burn, which we reviewed on an earlier episode, so check that out if you haven't. He's done a lot of writing for movies that he hasn't directed. More recently, he's done a lot of remakes, like the new version of Prom Night, which is terrible, and the 2009 version of The Stepfather, which I've not seen.
Which is probably also I'm sorry, you can't beat Terry O'Quinn in that role.
No.
Terry O'Quinn is always going to be the stepdad.
I'm guessing it's skippable. Moving on to our actors. So the actress that you keep calling Kathy Bates, or a Kathy Bates type, is actually...
I'm just going to make this quick plug. You've seen the original Stepfather, right?
Yes.
I love
a long time ago.
That is one of my favorite opening scenes to a horror film. The thing where they're just like doing like the cheerful like cut through the suburbs and just goes into this house with like this family is murdered and the guy's like just straightening his ties. I love that opening. It's really good.
Okay, a little aside on the stepfather. Anyway, the actress who, you're right, it is good. The actress who you kept calling Kathy Bates or Kathy Bates-esque is actually Louise Fletcher. The name of her character here was Dr. Earhart. She is in fact an Academy Award winner for her.
I was gonna say like that's Louise Fletcher.
Iconic role as Nurse Ratched in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
That was Louise Fletcher.
That was Louise Fletcher, man. I'm telling you, he was slumming it a bit, but it was Louise.
Well,
Fletcher.
totally slumming it. But I'm like, because I've seen her in other stuff. She's a fucking good actress.
Yeah, she's fairly prolific, and her role as Nurse Ratched is iconic.
I did not even recognize her. Holy crap!
Yeah, she also has done a lot of horror films like The Exorcist 3.
Yeah, I remember her.
Firestarter,
because I remember her from Exorcist 3
too. Yeah, so there you go. So not just the Kathy Bates type.
She was on Star Trek Deep Space Nine as well.
Yes, that's where I know her from. Is Star Trek Deep Space Nine, where she played Kai Wynn, this mostly villainous religious leader on that show. So that's what I know her from. Yeah. But yeah, she's probably the biggest name, and indeed she was the type of actor. So there, okay, so there you go. The rest of the cast, well, it's kind of like lesser knowns and not. So like David Beecroft played Captain Hickok, remember, is the name of the main character.
Yeah, okay.
That was his name. He did lots
that's right, because there was that scene where I was like, it sounded like the Asian guy said like,
said cock for some reason,
because he underpronounced like the hick part of the name, so it sounded like he was yelling like "Stop it, cock" or something.
Yeah.
Stop it, cock.
Yeah. So Captain Hickok was played by David Beecroft, who did a lot of television, probably best known for soap operas like All My Children and One Life to Live. He did do the horror movie Creepshow 2 as well. James Hong played, I guess his name was Dr. Van Fleet in the movie The Asian Doctor. Now, this guy is a very, very prolific character actor.
He's done a lot of voice work.
Lots of voice work. Like literally hundreds of roles. I just wrote down a few things that
his voice I immediately picked up on. Like as he started talking, I was to myself, I've heard this in a few animated.
I think
before.
He's in
Kung Fu Panda.
The Kung Fu Panda movies. He's in the newest incarnation of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and honestly, like so many other things. He's done live action TV in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show, the 2008 version of The Day the Earth Stood Still, TV shows like The West Wing, Millennium, X-Files, and honestly, you guys, so many other things. He's just one of these guys.
He's like Keith David, where he just plays a lot of bit roles in everything and does a lot of voice work.
You've seen him in other films. The it's that guy factor is very high here. So he's a very prolific character actor. And it was kind of an odd performance here in this movie, but it's sort of it
kind of reminds me now, like, they probably could have done a lot more with his character.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, him and now that I know it's Louise Fletcher, like even though I know it's Louise Fletcher, I kind of almost would have wanted their roles swapped. I felt more engaged by his conversations.
Yeah.
He just seemed like he had more weight to his performance than Fletcher did.
Yeah.
I would have liked him to be the scientist that stuck around.
Yeah, that's interesting. That I can kind of see that. Yeah. Finally, Frederick Flynn played Shivers in the movie, and he hasn't done much work, although he has mostly worked with the director of this film, J.S. Cardone. He was also in the previously mentioned The Forsaken and The Slayer. So that's our cast and crew. Final thoughts on, what is this movie called? Shadowzone. So, not super memorable, but not bad. I would say a minor entry in the Full Moon Over.
Yeah, I mean,
for completists only. Maybe.
What was it?
For completists only. If you want to see all the full movies, see this. But otherwise,
it just didn't leave much of a mark on me. But I could see other people getting more out of it than I did.
It was okay.
It was an okay movie.
Kind of a neat, premise. That's kind of my take. It's fine, but mostly generic film, and I kind of wish it had done its own thing more and ripped off the other movies a little bit less. But whatever. Not bad. Not a bad way to spend an hour and a half.
No.
So that about does it for our discussion of Shadowzone. In terms of our next episode, it's a bit of a mystery. I'm going to leave you guys with a bit of a mystery in terms of what we're doing for our next episode because, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, Killjoy's Psycho Circus is debuting in October, which is probably about when we want to have our next episode up. But the problem is I don't know when in October it's coming out. I could totally see them doing a Halloween release. In which case, we'd probably want to get an episode up before that. So, and we've got Virgin Hunters 2 coming on the horizon, which I know Caz is excited about watching. So, I'm not sure what we're going to do for our next episode. The next film in sequence is Doll Man, which I think came out in 1991, a classic full moon film. So, I'm going to say that it all depends on the release date of Killjoy's Psycho Circus. And our next episode may be the new Killjoy film. It may be Virgin Hunters 2. It may be Doll Man. So I'm just going to leave it a bit of a mystery. I think that's...
We may just analyze a plastic bag blowing in the wind.
We may talk about, or just put up a video of a plastic bag floating in the wind.
We're just going to mock the scene from American Beauty and sit right here. It's like
it'll be us watching them watching the plastic bag.
I love the scene. It reminds us that there's no reason to be afraid.
Oh God, poor American Beauty. That's a good.
Hey, I love that movie. It used to be literally in my top 5 favorite films of all time.
All right. Well,
still my favorite Kevin Spacey movie.
Before we get into American Beauty, we'll talk about that off camera. We will wrap it up for this episode of Full Moon Effect. Be sure to like, comment on this video, and subscribe to the channel. Check us out on Facebook, where I will be posting the official release date for Killjoy's Psycho Circus as soon as it is announced, and that is where you'll find out first what we are actually doing on the next episode of Full Moon Effect. Yeah, until then, I remain Patrick.
And I remain Caz.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye.